Welcome to another episode of our weekly Bitcoin mining conversation featuring the founder and owner of Liquid Hash, Nick Campisi. This week, we're going to address some of the very real and serious concerns everyone's having relating to Bitcoin prices, power grid, everything. So let's just dive in. So Nick, focusing on the Bitcoin news of this era, I'm hearing a lot about the power grid, specifically in Texas. That seems to be the focus. When it relates to Bitcoin mining, how is Texas power grid failure going to affect the Bitcoin mining world?
Yeah, so ultimately, I would say, and I'm just going to kind of spitball the number. I think it's about 90% of miners in Texas curtail their power. So when there is a demand event where the grid needs more power, the Bitcoin miners kind of act like a battery and then stop mining Bitcoin, and the amount of power that was normally used to mine Bitcoin can go to just satisfy that increased demand. So really, it's not that mining's not stressing the grid. If anything, it helps create base load for generation assets that then can be curtailed at a moment's notice within seconds to be able to allow people who need to either cool their homes in the summer or heat their homes in the winter have that power to have the increased grid resiliency that we're all looking for.
Gotcha. So with all these concerns about the grid and such, is now a good time to be jumping into Bitcoin mining?
Right now, the price per terahash, that's the cost you pay for a dollar of compute power, is in a number we have not seen in a couple years. And so the good news is that, right now is, the profitability doesn't look good because the hash rate is still high. The difficulty is not downwardly adjusted a lot. It has some, and the price is pulled back. So the profitability has really looked a little bleak, but that's the time when it's best to deploy capital, because when things do turn around, then the returns are much higher, machine prices go up, and the availability of rack space starts getting very tight.
Gotcha. So say I did jump in and, I created this whole mine and it was fully functional. What would happen to my investment if the price of Bitcoin dramatically fell and I continued to mine?
Well, ultimately, here's the deal. You are going to manufacture Bitcoin every day. So in Bitcoin terms, you end up getting more Bitcoin over time when the price falls. So it's a self-regulating mechanism. Now there's some nuance to that, but ultimately what's happening here is that the miner in fiat terms is returning less, but in Bitcoin terms, it's still returning the same. So that's why a lot of miners try to hold on to their Bitcoin for as long as possible, due to the fact that the ultimate is, if you wait and end up with a larger stack, that when the price does turn around, it's going to make sense to have more coin for the upswing.
So it sounds like one of the best ways is to continue mining Bitcoin when a price falls, and to hold on to that Bitcoin as it rises. Is that correct?
Yes. You don't, it's just, it's the whole buy low, sell high thing. You don't want to sell the Bitcoin at the low if you can hold on to it. But, that's why miner sell pressure is part of the largest factor of Bitcoin's price, is that miners have to shore up capital to run their operations. And, inevitably it's the time that it's the hardest is when you're the least profitable.
That makes sense. So in a world where everyone's mining Bitcoin, what's the advantage of mining Bitcoin instead of all these altcoins and stable coins that I've been hearing about?
Yeah, so most coins are not mined. There's what tens of thousands of different cryptocurrencies that are on the market, and all of them have an element of centralization or some fatal flaw that allows most people to, or I say most, are a very select few to have an advantage over the rest. And so Bitcoin's not like that. It's a truly decentralized protocol. The first mine block's not even a spendable block, and those coins are spread between a number of different people or organizations that a lot of people have ties to. And so it's really one of the only truly, or I would say the only truly decentralized. Now, a lot of, like, when you hear of like a cryptocurrency that's in the market, a lot of those are not even a mineable coin. It's just a project that had a pre-mine or some kind of initial coin offering. So in this case, what you're looking at is a mineable coin. There are really very few that are out there. Most of them are either some type of consensus algorithm or proof of stake, which inherently makes it way less secure than Bitcoin.
In volatile markets, or at least when the world is preparing for a volatile market, how can you prepare for that being a Bitcoin mine operation?
Yeah, I mean, having access to cash is really the key. Is to be able to not be in a position where you have to sell miners at the low, or are forced to turn off miners because they're not profitable, and not be able to deploy capital, which is historically the best time, is it's at the very depth of the bear market. And so steps that we took starting even last year was the ability to start shoring up cash and ensuring that we would have capital to deploy during this downtime.
Gotcha. So that's our interview for this week. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. If you do have any questions or want to build a Bitcoin mine that's powered by your excess energy source, please go to www.liquihash.com. That's liquiihash.com. See you all next week.